My favorite part of the book was the fact that one of the characters is writing a book called Tina the Warrior Horse. Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Sorry for the delay in my videos. I usually try to do at least 2 videos a week, but I was pretty sick last week. In fact, you can probably tell I'm still congested, and I had a very sore throat. So I barely got any reading done, let alone filming a video in that condition would have just been horrendously painful. Anyway, so back on track. This is a review of End of Empires by Toby Frost, which I read over my birthday last week because I'm absolutely in love with this series. So before I get into my review, I want to say that, yes, this is a series. This is part 5 of the series. So if you haven't read the previous installments, which I have right here, I've included an explanation of what the deal is with the series, spoiler-free, before I review this book in particular. So if you want to skip to just this review, you can jump to here. But if you have never heard of this series before, which I'm fairly certain a lot of you haven't because it doesn't have a million reviews on Goodreads, you should pay attention because this series is great. I believe I've mentioned these books before on like tag videos and stuff, but anyway, I read the first book, Space Captain Smith. These covers are amazing, by the way. They're so funny. A few years ago, probably in like 2015 or something, and I absolutely loved it. As such, I ordered pretty much all the others right away off Amazon because I saw that they didn't have a lot, and these are all like used ones. So I was like, I need to get these before they disappear. They are so funny. The premise is that the British Empire never ended. I can't remember the details because it's explained in like the first book. And as such, the British Space Empire expanded into the galaxy. The main character, at least for the first book, and later books, 2 of his friends get equal or even more focus, is Captain Smith, the guy on the cover, who is the captain of this junker spaceship called the John Pym. He has a best friend, Surak, an alien who is a mix of Predator and a bit of Klingon and his own culture. I have a huge crush on Surak. He's my ugly space boyfriend. There's also the pilot, Polly, who is an escaped sex android, the arc of which is handled very well. I was very much impressed by how her story arc in terms of that aspect of her was done. She would be a badass if she wasn't so cowardly, which is kind of funny. And then we also have Rihanna, who is Smith's girlfriend, basically. She's a Californian who is very clearly a hippie, like from the 70s, as she's pretty much always high and wears flowy dresses and all this stuff. So she and Smith, who is very straight-laced, are a very funny pair together, and I really like their little relationship. The antagonists fluctuate throughout the books. The main three bad guys are the Edenites, who are this like human cult kind of, and then the Ghasts, which are a hive mind ant-like colonizer beings, and then the Yul, which are massive lemmings that are basically insane. So each book has its own plot and usually like 2 or 3 locations in it, but the story carries on through the next one. So as such, the characters have several arcs they go through, and their personalities and team dynamics shift as the books change. There's also a lot of fun alien cultures and great battle scenes. The best part of these books is the humor, though. It's slammed full of pop culture and sci-fi allusions and references, mainly used as parody. And I know there's a whole level of like British humor itself that is going over my head at the time, but I don't even care. The thing is, the humor, at least for me, is done artfully in that you don't need to know the allusion to understand the plot. For example, I knew that God Emperor of Didcot was referencing Dune, though I've only read the first Dune, but that didn't matter. It didn't affect my understanding what was going on. And, you know, it's not even just like sci-fi stuff. Like End of Empires, the one I'm reviewing today, has a whole like My Little Pony joke that made me laugh so hard. My 4-year-old loves My Little Pony, as 4-year-olds do. So I've seen a lot of it. Truth be told, I really like it. And I tend to pay attention to the movies when she's watching them. And I'm pretty into that one with Emily Blunt where she's like the evil pony named Tempest. Anyway, I'm going to move on from this. So if you are into humor, if you're into British humor specifically, if you love sci-fi, if you like fun battle scenes and stuff, I highly recommend you give these books a shot. They are so much fun. I only gave the first book 4 stars, but this one and the last one, I'll just get them all out. Game of Battleships. This one is probably my favorite. Actually, it's tied for End of Empires as to my favorite because I really liked both of them. I give both as like 5 stars. So I want to read the final book, which is called Pincers of Death. Look at that cover. It's amazing. But I don't want to because I want to prolong the experience of reading the series. Normally I don't take so long to read series because I tend to forget or just forget to read them entirely, or I just like can't remember what's going on with the characters. But these ones I've specifically, there's like a fly in my office. These ones I've specifically dragged out because I just like don't want it to end. That aside, when it comes to End of Empire specifically, it has a great balance of continuing the story, the Lemmingmen plot mainly, and then there's some new character arcs relating to Cirque and Polly. One thing about the novels is that they do function within this small universe trope, you know, where the same characters pop up in every book. But honestly, just like the Chilling Effect novels, which I tend to mention every 5 minutes, this isn't a flaw. It's fun when characters that we meet before show up because we don't have to take the time to give them a backstory. Also, it's a comedy book, so, you know, you can like let that kind of thing slide because the whole purpose is for it to be funny, not for me to like have to learn about a new character every 5 minutes. Also, I love these characters. I love Morgar, which is Suruk's architect brother who has no interest in battle. I love Susan, the beam gun wielding soldier, and Drekit, the android, who is a mix of 40s noir, Private Eye, and Deckard from Blade Runner. So the story in this one, it follows two paths. It starts with a conspiracy mystery and leads into a bunch of battles against the Lemmingmen. Both had adequate length, though I could have used a lot more time with Cirque's training, though honestly I'd rather the whole book be about Cirque. All in all, I laughed out loud quite a few times in the book itself. I reread a few pages that were a lot of fun, and I had a great time with this novel. I read it way too fast, and now I am sad. Now, because I have to give some kind of a critique, there is a bit of passive writing that most people probably wouldn't notice, but because I'm an editor, my stupid editor brain picks up on it. And I also found the first storyline in the book less interesting than the second, mainly because it felt like it was there to explain the politics on the planet more so than to have like an actual plot. I'm not really sure how to explain that properly. But anyway, it didn't matter because it was fun. Like the other books, the story is pretty much go, 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 and there's not a lot of downtime between the characters, which, you know, is something that I tend to prefer. Still, I'm so heavily invested in this series, and honestly, it's rare now that I progressed with the series at all, so there's no way I wouldn't love this. But maybe I'm blinded by Surak, my ugly space boyfriend. So that's basically the review for End of Empires, because I know most of you probably haven't read it. So, but I'm going to go into a few spoilers that just list off my favorite parts of this book. So let me know if you have read this book, what your favorite parts were, if they were the same as mine, because I've got a whole ton of them. And if you don't ever plan on reading these, then you can like, maybe this will convince you to, because mainly these are based on jokes. So, first of all the predator aspects of Surak, before he was it was obvious he was kind of based on a predator, but this one like really drove that home. So there was that whole relic stash scene, which was very reminiscent of the one from Predator 2. There was a joke about Dutch, the name of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator, that made me laugh really hard. And then the inclusion of the blade gauntlet that I thought Surak would have used, but then Polly ends up using it to eviscerate that Yul. That was fantastic. I absolutely loved that. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't find the arm cannon in Grimdal's stash, but I think that would have been too much, like thinking on it, like too much Predator stuff, so that's fine. Surak's kind of Yoda Karate Kid training was fun, including the cave. I can't remember what's called in Star Wars when Luke goes into that freaking cave. Anyway, the cave, you know, their worst fears or whatever. That part was really fun. And then Surak has that badass final stand against the Yul assassins. That was amazing. I mean, I knew he wasn't gonna die, but I was just like, this is a great fight. I also thought Surak's jealousy of Morgar joining the Lancers was really funny and really cute. One of the best scenes in the book, though, is Polly's massacre of the Yul to save the ponies. That was so good. That was so good. The entire My Little Pony part was so funny, especially the reference to Friendship is Magic. That made me laugh so hard, and my poor husband, I think I woke him up because I was laughing. I really enjoyed the very random and short reference to The Shining, as well as the short reference to the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, that's the corporation from Alien, and the part where it's called the Leighton Wakazashi Corporation in the book, and it's only mentioned in like one paragraph, but it says that their only solution to any problem at all is to try and get a bunch of man-eating space monsters through quarantine, and I freaking died. I just died. I also thought it was really funny how Smith finds Rihanna wearing a hat to be erotic. Everything about their relationship is so funny. And lastly, my favorite part of the book was the fact that one of the characters is writing a book called Tina the Warrior Horse. How could I not like that? So yeah, I have one book left to read in the series, but I'm going to hold off as long as I can. I mean, I could always reread the series, but it's not the same. It's not the same. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm hopefully going to be having one of my classic sci-fi book reviews on Thursday, and yeah.